Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Media Pulse, the show where we help you make sense of Thai politics.
All right, it was the first full week at work for Paetongtarn, the new Prime Minister. And certainly she did get a lot of things done in just 5 days at work, right? But what seems to have grabbed the attention of the Thai media more than anything else was her quick trip to Chiang Rai in northern Thailand, the province which was hard hit by a flash flood. But unfortunately, her portrayal during the trip by the Thai media wasn't all that positive.
So it wasn't focused on the flood as much as other things. So some Thai media and of course many of the netizens mocked her for acting more like a celebrity. So if we look at this news video clip, she was being briefed by someone who seems like a very senior official. So yeah, he was trying to speak to her. And then
but it looks like her attention is somewhere else.
Yeah,
and while she is being briefed, right, by the senior official, she was busy looking at her supporters that turned out in robes, waving to them, smiling to them, and not knowing quite sure whether she was listening to the briefing or not.
Meanwhile, look at the current below the bridge seems very strong as she was smiling there. Also, apart from the wave, we have footage from a separate trip as well. So once again, only confirms the media observation that she cannot say anything of substance without consulting the script. So here as we see she was talking to the media, basically supposed to be giving the media a straightforward report on the flooding situation, and yet she seems to be totally absorbed in the script. Didn't even look up.
She's simply reading every single word from the script.
Yeah. And apart from reading, she's been cooking as well. So seems to be a signature activity for a lot of politicians who visit natural disasters areas. So they have to cook. In this case, she's cooking stir fry. So there are a few woks there. This one is making omelette, I think.
But the problem is that while she was busy cooking and also posing for pictures, right? She failed to notice that the stove fire wasn't on.
Yeah, this one here. So she's making fried rice. But if you look closely, the stove, the fire is not on.
So cooking without fire, that was the title of a meme that went viral for days as a result of this incident.
It's been shared many times. Oh dear, but a more serious test is waiting for her.
All right. No, but to be fair to her, I mean, she did get a lot of serious things done in her first week in office, right?
Yeah, true. Like what? Appointing advisors?
That's right, that's right.
The interesting part is that all of them worked for Thaksin Shinawatra in the past. So we have an example as well. Say, Kun Pansak was an economic policy advisor to Mr. Thaksin, and Dr. Surapong Subongli was the ICT minister in the Thaksin government as well.
All right.
Hand-me-down advisors.
Because if you look at the names and the faces of some of these advisors, these are the same advisors that used to serve her father, Kun Thaksin. We're talking about 20, 25 years back.
A very old hand-me-down.
So it's no surprise that the Thai media dubbed these people as the hand-me-down advisors.
Yeah, we also have a story from the flooded area. This time, apart from the Prime Minister herself, we have General Prawit Wongsuwan who visited the area as well. So on Thursday, he went to visit the flooded area in Nong Khai, and despite the physical element, he seems to have difficulties walking. General Prawit and members of the Palang Pracharat Party gave out 3,000 survival kits. And according to news report, he said that he wants to be the voice of the flood victims and tell the government to provide help urgently. But that's not all he said.
I see. What he said that did catch the media attention was when he said that I'm here in Nong Khai to find out what happened, so that when I return as a government the next time, this will not be repeated. So he was seen as suggesting that he still entertains the ambition of returning to power.
So he's signaling something.
So, but this report, I mean, certainly gives him some kind of a more positive media coverage, because as we know, over the past 1 week, he had been embroiled in a scandal that some media commentators believe that could jeopardize his political future. He was caught in the center of a scandal concerning the series of audio clips in which he was heard discussing some shady financial payments.
Yeah.
and that certainly is something that will be investigated. And of course, I mean, Kun Prawit is a typical Thai politician in the sense that he knows where he should be at the right time. And visiting flood victims is certainly part of the so-called tradition of Thai politicians, to be seen being by the side of people in troubles. Because it's a belief that your constituents do not judge you by your performance in parliament, in house debates. They judge you by how quick you are in standing by their sides when they're in trouble. So he believed that he made the right decision. Instead of attending the house meetings, he went there to Nong Khai to be seen with his constituents giving out all these relief items.
I see. But back to Paetongtarn, there's a more serious test waiting for her, as she is planned to travel to Qatar this October to attend the ACD meeting, which is an intergovernmental grouping aiming to promote Asian cooperation, and more importantly, this is the initiative of Thaksin Shinawatra back in 2000.
And yeah, definitely, Kun Thaksin certainly want his daughter to raise her profile at the forum. It was a forum that Thaksin initiated back in the year 2000, and Thaksin certainly want this to be continued, and with his daughter playing a vital role, a central role in that. But how much she can do that is a big question mark now.
There's a continuation there, definitely.
And another test of her leadership will be her attendance at the ASEAN Summit in Vientiane, Laos, following the ACD meeting. And her performance at the two major regional events will definitely be closely watched by the Thai media. So we can expect a lot of comments, reactions from
There'll be more
commentators and Thai media.
Are we going to see more mini hearts? We don't know. Still on the issue of Kun Paetongtarn, last week we talked about superstitious belief of politicians who, on the first day of office, they have to look at the time and everything to, wish for to step into the office for auspicious reasons, for blessings.
And according to Thai media, Kun Paetongtarn, the Prime Minister, is no exception. They believe that the timing down to the exact minute and second she set foot in the government house was all the work of soothsayers or astrologers that she consulted.
And the way the office is arranged as well.
Right. But that's not the end of it, because several media outlets reported that her father, Kun Thaksin Shinawatra, has personally intervened to ensure that his daughter had the most favorable work environment in terms of blessings from unseen powers.
Yeah, we have a lot of news media report has been talking about this and covering this, surprisingly. So I took two examples, one from Now website and the other one from Thairat. Both pointed out to the same direction. So the report says that two experts personally visited the government house and the Prime Minister's office and later gave the young Prime Minister some suggestion, but the reports did not provide any specific. But in the headline it also says, these two Chinese astrologers were enlisted by her father.
Okay.
So in Thaksin's mind, when he decided to have the help of Feng Shui experts, the media reported quoting Paetongtarn as saying that she doesn't really care much about Feng Shui, but is happy to go along with what her father wants. And the report also says that these two astrologers were friends of former Prime Minister Thaksin as well.
This only goes to show what kind of influence her father is having over her.
Down to arranging the office.
Yeah, even arranging the working space in the government house is something that her father wants to have a say in. Okay, that is another interesting part of Thai politics, feng shui, astrology, and things like that. They go together with Thai politics very well.
Do the Chinese politicians do it too? I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, now let's move on to more serious stuff. We have been hearing this term, evident integrity, quite a lot in recent weeks, right?
Yes, yes.
Especially when the former Prime Minister, Kun Sethar Thavisin, was ousted by the Constitutional Court, which found him to be lacking evident integrity. Now, if we ask people whether or not we want politicians with integrity, I'm sure that the answer will be a resounding yes from
most certainly,
most people anyway. And should there be some rules to make sure that politicians will behave themselves and have integrity? Again, I believe that the answer will be yes. But if you ask politicians, they will have a different opinion on this one.
They might have a different opinion. That's why many of them are seeking an amendment to one particular article in the Constitution that deals with politicians' integrity. Article 160 of the Constitution, cabinet members must demonstrate evident integrity and have a history free from serious breaches of professional ethics. There we go.
This is supposed to be an iron rule that governs the behavior of politicians. But one leading member of Pheu Thai Party, the core of the coalition, Kun Chusak Sirinin, who is now the Minister of PM's office, is leading a charge to amend this particular article. So in the crosshair is this Article 160, as Kun Clare said, requiring cabinet members to have evident integrity and professional ethics.
So he doesn't like evident integrity. He doesn't want professional ethics.
No. His argument and argument by critics of this article is that the terms evident integrity and professional ethics are too broad and open to arbitrary interpretation.
That is what Kun Anutin says as well.
Yeah, Anutin is a leader of Phumchai Thai Party, and he is now the interim minister, and he seems to be lending support to attempts to amend the article. And Anutin said the article has become a kind of political straitjacket, inhibiting politicians who wish to serve the country, but are restrained by the fear of being penalized under this article.
So they're looking from the point of view of the former court ruling on Sethar Thavisin, who was ousted by Constitutional Court.
That's right. Yeah. And the ruling certainly, as we know, came as a big shock to politicians who are certainly openly critical of the ruling. And they have pointed out that the ruling had a chilling effect on the forming of the Paetongtarn cabinet. As you know, it took quite a while for the cabinet to be formed. A few veteran politicians with questionable records were sidelined out of fear of repeating the fate of the former Prime Minister, Kun Sethar Thavisin. So they chose to stay out of the cabinet to avoid being scrutinized and being found out that they did not have evident integrity.
And sent their child and relatives into the cabinet instead of
That's
them.
right. Yeah, well,
Yeah, it would certainly be very interesting to see how these politicians will sell the idea of scrapping professional ethics.
It's interesting that the efforts to amend this particular article dealing with so-called integrity is getting support across the board from most of the coalition government parties and even from the opposition party, the People's Party, because they all see this particular article as a big obstacle to the democracy, because they believe that this gives the Constitutional Court too much power to decide on the fate of politicians.
Yeah, I remember this was written back in, during the time where it was seen as a link to the military governments.
That's right. Okay, now let's move on to this another big stories of the week. Its author, Dr. Paetongtarn Phakwakrapan, a well-known political scientist. It deals with what she sees as attempts and activities by the Thai military to indoctrinate people to accept its control over politics and its dominant role in the society. So this is essentially the gist of the book. And according to the book, the so-called infiltration by the military includes projects which contribute to the expansion of the military political domain into civilian society. So among them are village development projects, community groups and mass organizations, military scholarships, and paramilitary intelligence units. And the book claims that through these projects, civilian participants are taught to obey authority, respect the monarchy, and cooperate with the government. They are also re-educated to believe that the military's involvement in politics and civilian affairs is necessary.
So who's not happy about it? Definitely ISOC. So the military agency that has been most active about this book is Internal Security Operations Command. The acronym is ISOC, so ISOC.
No, ISOC is a legacy of the Cold War. It was set up back in the early 60s by the army to combat the spread of communism, which back then was considered to be the biggest threat to Thailand's national security. But over the years, ISOC was accused of engaging in human rights abuses and atrocities against civilians and suspected communists. It was also alleged to have been used by those in power against political opponents. So ISOC certainly cannot stand still when it's accused of a lot of things that it believes that it wasn't responsible for.
Yeah, there were accusations about being very heavily handed in the South as well. Remember the now defunct Move Forward Party has been leading a campaign to dissolve ISOC as well.
That's right, But the problem is that after the Cold War, I mean, even though the role of ISOC has been largely reduced in other parts of the country, it has been still active in southern Thailand, where Muslim insurgency has been raging for years. And that's exactly where the charges of atrocities, abuses, human rights have been most rampant.
And the media headlines leave no doubt that ISOC wants the book banned. So Major General Win Thai Suwari, spokesperson of the ISOC, strongly criticized the contents of the book. And he said the book was poorly researched and contained a lot of misinformation. And the accusation also includes damages the image of the armed force. And he questioned the author's qualification, academic records, and the background and experience in security affairs.
Now we have checked with people in the ISOC. I mean, even though the headlines in the Thai media suggest that ISOC wants the book banned, but the problem is that ISOC doesn't have the legal authority to ban books. You need to have a court order, I mean, to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, in fact, the spokesman of ISOC only asked the book to be boycotted because, as you just mentioned, that he believed that the book contains a lot of misinformation and full of biases. And so what it can do is to ask the people not to read the book. And another step that he plans to take is to ask the administration of Chulalongkorn University, where the author works, to probe whether the author, Dakun Paetongtarn, has breached any ethics in writing a book that the ISOC believes is poorly researched and full of misinformation.
We have the headline from Ajahn Paetongtarn. So basically, when ISOC came out to criticize her book, she posted on her Facebook.
That's right. And her response is that the book is based on research and information provided and endorsed by both Thai and foreign experts on Thai political and security affairs. She stands by the contents of her book. And she said that the book was praised by Foreign Affairs, a well-known American magazine on international and foreign affairs, as one of the best books for 2020.
Yes.
And she argued that the military should address the concerns raised by the book through a formal written response or a public debate, right, instead of resorting to a ban as reported by the Thai media in order to foster open dialogue and transparency. Yeah.
But the recent report about the book actually made it famous, like a lot of people
I saw,
it.
and probably unknowingly, is giving Kun Paetongtarn's book a free publicity, right? Now, Kun Paetongtarn, of course, I mean, a little bit about her, is an expert in Southeast Asian history and a well-known political watcher. She has written several articles about Thai military, focusing on its privileges and a need for reform. And she's known as a critic of the military intervention in politics. That's why she has been a target of the military criticism for quite some time. So no surprise.
Actually, there's a link to the Prime Minister as well. Because remember, ISOC is, by title, the Prime Minister is ex officio, the director of ISOC as well.
That's right. So far, we haven't heard a single word from the Prime Minister on this issue yet. But certainly, I'm sure the reporters will be going after her for answer. And we don't know how she will react or whether she is aware of what's going on as far as this book issue is concerned or not.
Yeah, but her party, her Pheu Thai party, is definitely a staunch critic of the military. So wait and see what she's going to say, or if she's going to be reading from a statement again. Now, we're on to our last story of today. We're talking about Comrade Yai again. He's been on our show last week, and now he's back again. Now, this time we have a video of Kun Paetongtarn Thepchai.
Okay, let's take a look at this clip. Kun Paetongtarn Thepchai has finally succeeded in doing what he failed to do almost 50 years ago when he was fighting against the military from a jungle in northeastern Thailand as a combatant of the Communist Party of Thailand. And the irony is that he is now in charge of the Thai armed forces without having to fire a single shot like he did back in the jungle days.
Comrade Yai, as Kun Paetongtarn was known by his jungle name, he definitely would never have imagined that one day he would be reviewing the Guard of Honor of the Thai military as defense minister.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, it's finally happening for him.
Okay, a little bit about Kun Paetongtarn's background. He joined the Communist Party of Thailand back in the mid-70s to escape the brutality of the military and right-wing extremists following the student massacre on the campus of Thammasat University that was followed by a military coup. And like many of those who took up arms with the Communist Party, Paetongtarn must have believed in Chairman Mao's famous motto, political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. But in the end, Paetongtarn did not need guns to rise to power. He only needed the right political connection. And how did he obtain that connection is another irony.
Yeah, so it's back to Thaksin Shinawatra,
It was Thaksin Shinawatra, back then already a successful businessman, but a budding politician who recruited Paetongtarn to join the rank and file of a political party he was setting up. Years earlier, Paetongtarn and his comrades would have branded Thaksin a class enemy.
Yes, but it doesn't end there, right? Fast forward, Thaksin now has his right-hand man as a defense minister in charge of the military.
Okay.
Yeah, and the military that ousted him in 2006 as well, and his sister.
That's right. And so, who is having the last laugh?
I don't know. I don't know. The game continues.
All right.
And we'll be here to tell you all the stories behind it.
Okay.
Everything that's interesting.
Okay.
I guess that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Saturday.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.